Sagittarius, Sag, welcome to your May 2023 reading. Um, I didn't get to your April reading. I'm like, what am I going to talk about here? What am I supposed to say? I didn't get to your April reading. I had migraines like most of April. I'm going to see a neurologist today. Yay! So hopefully that all smooths out. It's because it's the war wound from the blood clot that I had in my head a couple years ago, which is still really awkward and weird thing to say. Like most people don't just have blood clots in their head. So it's that's a strange phrase. More good news on the horizon here. We found a place. Hallelujah. So we'll be moving in June 8th, and we're starting from scratch. So we need all new furniture, new pots, new pans. I gave everything to my oldest son when we moved to Colorado. And the place that we were living in was furnished, completely furnished. So we're starting from scratch, and I have my calendar open for May. I have my 6 month readings available already. So if you want to get the July through December prediction, tarot prediction, you can also get astrology added to that, which is a pretty cool addition to it. But yeah, so that's available, and all my readings are open right now to schedule. So now would be the time. If you wanted to get a reading from me and you just haven't, now would be the time. If you don't want to get a reading from me, but you'd like to help us, there's going to be information in the description box, and you can help us to start our lives all over again, which brings me to the astrology for May. May is really about reinventing ourselves. We have today is May 1st. Pluto is starting his first retrograde in Aquarius. He will regress into Capricorn during this 5 month retrograde, and then we'll go direct in Capricorn in October. And that's all happening in your third house. So you could really find, when Pluto goes retrograde, that's a time for us to do our inner work. When Pluto is direct, that's a time for us to embody all of the inner work that we've done when Pluto was retrograde. So with a retrograde Pluto in the third house, you could really find a lot of personal growth and closure in your immediate environment. Anything that's happening in your immediate environment, it feels like you're sort of pulling the strings, like you're not pulling the strings, or yeah, kind of. It's almost like you're tying everything together. You're bringing all the strings into the middle. And there might be some inner workings that you really have to look at as you're finding closure with stuff in your personal environment. And it could be, and even siblings, like there may be some closure or some things that you talk about with your siblings that you haven't necessarily talked about with them for a while. May 5th, we have the eclipse in Scorpio, the lunar full moon lunar eclipse in Scorpio in your 12th house. Don't let yourself go crazy. Don't let yourself go mad during this time. You may find that it's a little extra emotional, but again, the 12th house is all about the inner workings of who we are. It's our shadow, it's all those bad habits and all of those things that we we try to hide and we try to ignore about ourselves. And when they surface, a lot of people, when those negative things about ourselves surface, a lot of people just swallow it, and they're like, no, I'm not gonna pay attention to that negative part of who I am. I'm just gonna ignore it. And a lot of times that can turn into narcissism when you're like holding into. I'm not saying everybody's a narcissist. I don't throw that word around easily. That's that word is like overused these days. But a lot of covert narcissistic traits come from not fully being honest with yourself, your shadow sides, your bad habits, the way that you can treat people. If you think that you're a saint and everybody else has done you wrong, then you need to turn that finger around and start looking at, because it's not everybody else's fault if you are the common denominator. I've had to have that realization for myself as well. Yeah, I'm not just saying that to you guys. I just realized that I have a sweater. I have a sweater on and I have a sweater hang. I must just need sweater time. May 14th, well, take care of your mental capacity during the Scorpio eclipse. Stress will show up in the body and it will make you sick. If your mental capacity and stress and all of that, if you're not handling it very well, it does show up, and the Scorpio lunar eclipse will absolutely make that known. May 14th, we have Mercury direct in Taurus, and that's your sixth house. So, again, the focus in May is really on the 12th house and 6th house axes for you guys. So, the sixth house, everyday life, really starts to make sense again. You may have been a little bit exhausted during Mercury retrograde or a little bit low of energy during Mercury retrograde. After May 14th, that picks up again. You may not feel so exhausted anymore. May 16th, we have Jupiter in Taurus, sixth house for the next year. So it's really easy to overindulge in any of your bad habits. It's a great time to start a new health routine. You will find abundance by organizing your life this year. You will find abundance by showing up for your body and treating your body like like the temple that it is. Trust me, you take the time when you have the opportunities to take care of yourself and take care of your body. Take those opportunities and run with them, because I wish that there were times in my life that I would have been like, whoa, I gotta be less stressed and more healthy with myself. May 19th, there's a Taurus new moon also in your sixth house. So again, a really great time to start a new health routine, really great time to, I'm not really big on diets. I don't like fad diets. I don't like all of those dieting hacks that people have. I genuinely like the thought of eating the foods that make you feel good and indulging every once in a while, but eating the foods that make you feel good and doing the physical movements that make you feel good. And as long as you feel good and you're being healthy with yourself, then it doesn't matter what everybody else is saying to do, right? Not every single one of those diet fads are going to work for you. So this might be a time for you to set your own health routine, your very own personal health routine in an intuitive way. May 21st, the sun moves into Gemini. Oh, May 20th, I forgot to talk about May 20th. Jupiter, Pluto, Mars, T-square. So smushed right in between the Taurus new moon and the sun moving into Gemini, we have this T-square happening, and it's really just it's a triangle. It's a 90-degree triangle in the chart, right? And with this T-square, we're going to have Mars opposite Pluto. Mars will be in Leo. Pluto will be retrograde in Aquarius at 0 degrees. And then we'll have Jupiter in Taurus at 0 degrees. And so it creates this 90-degree triangle. People are really going to be using all of their power to get ahead in May. In the second half of May, there's going to be this tension. A lot of this, if you can do things for humanity's sake and not just for selfish reasons, that it's going to be very clear. It'll be like night and day. We'll be able to see the population of humans that are really just being selfish and wanting to get ahead and stepping all over people, and they don't care who they hurt. This happens in the spiritual community too. So pay attention, be very extra cautious. And then there's going to be a group of people that genuinely want to get ahead, but they also want to get ahead with the idea that humanity is also going to be getting ahead, or they're going to be doing things to help humanity get ahead as they're also getting ahead. And that's really going to be the separation thing. It's not, a lot of people are going to be projecting. A lot of people are going to be really angry with the state of the world and where things are. That Mars opposite Pluto is never something to ignore. But on the other side of this, I feel like there's going to be a lot of new innovations that are going to be happening. And I think that this T-square is going to be very important for all of us that have felt very stagnant. It's kind of a catalyst to get us pushed ahead, but you really have to pay attention to how your ego is going to handle the situation too. So here we are. And then we have Gemini season, which all of the planets will start to oppose. You know, you had Mars and Gemini opposite all of your planets for a very long time. You guys have had this time to breathe for a little bit. And now we're going to have Gemini planets opposite your planets again. So there's a lot of things that come with relationships in, you know, towards the second half of May and into June that you're going to be having to pay attention to. You know, oppositions is about, when we think about oppositions, like the first house and the seventh house, the first house is about the self, the seventh house is about everybody else. So anytime planets are opposing, it oftentimes has a lot to do with the reactions of other people too. So it'll be very interesting. You might recognize that people actually project upon you more so during the opposing season of yours than usual. Surrender to your intuition. We're getting a surrender, power of surrender card. Sorry, I just started shuffling. I didn't tell you guys. So the power of surrender cards, and your surrender card for May, Sagittarius, is surrender to your intuition. Tune into your inner voice. Be aware of any gut feelings, flashes, knowings, or aha moments that come through to guide you. Sorry for the glare there. Surrender to your intuition. I love that picture of the eyeball. That's a really cool one. All right, you guys. Let's see. Yeah, and this is why you're meant to surrender to your intuition. You are overthinking something. Okay. I gotta move some. It's such a tiny table. I can't wait until we get into our new space and I have my desk back. We have the Eight of Swords. It's the little things in life, really. We have the Eight of Swords. We have the Knight of Cups. And we have Judgment. We have the Emperor. And I want to get two more cards, but what it feels like here is I feel like it's time for you to approach someone. Or it's time for you to, I feel like this Knight of Cups, you guys, is a truce. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I'm just saying it, what I feel, right? So I have the Eight of Swords and the Knight of Cups and Judgment on the top row here. And I feel like what's happening here is I feel like you're overthinking an apology that needs to happen. And I don't know if the apology needs to come from you. I don't know if the apology needs to come from a water sign. Maybe it needs to come from an Aries. But I feel like that there is a need to do this because it's going to smooth over. Like you're trying to stop an ending from happening. Like you're trying to control the situation and stop an ending from happening, and you're trying to smooth the waters. Now, again, I'm going to say this because we already talked about how Gemini season can sometimes be a very projecting season from other people, but it feels like you're trying to stop the argument. You're trying to stop the fight. You know that the ending is coming, but you don't want it to be a travesty, right? You don't want it to be like the Ten of Swords. The Ten of Swords, think about this. The swords are our thoughts, right? Just like the Eight of Swords is a self-imposed imprisonment of the mind. You're really overthinking something. And I feel like it's the conversation that you feel like you need to have. I feel like you're trying to think of the approach. Like, how am I going to approach this conversation? How am I going to say the things that I need to say? We have the Emperor with the 10 of Swords and the 6 of Swords. For some of you, you want to leave a job and become like your own boss. For some of you, you're leaving a relationship, and you really, the 6 of Swords is moving from rough waters into calmer waters. And so when we look at the 10 of Swords, and the swords are our thoughts, this is going to the worst possible case scenario. And I like to remind people, this is something that I've learned in the last couple years. Because I'm a Virgo, and I'm a 12th house Virgo at that. So like my son is in the 12th house. So I am an overthinker of like the best overthinker in the world. I can overthink anything, make it worse than it, before I even know how it's going to turn out, I've already made it worse. And that's the thing, is when we overthink a situation, we're literally thinking about all of the possibilities of how it can turn out. And we have overactive imaginations. Think about Hollywood movies, right? As humans, think about the movies, right? Like overactive imaginations all over the place. And we have been told to fear, told to fear, told to fear, told to fear. And being told to fear that many times, you're sort of always on guard. So you're overthinking the way this ending is going to happen, or the way this conversation is going to happen. And you probably think, I guarantee you that conversation or the ending of whatever is ending right now is actually not as bad as it could. Now, for some of you, it's going to be pretty nasty and it's going to be pretty bad. And you already know that, I think. I think that you're already aware of it. But I do think that you're trying to kind of smooth the situation over and not make it so difficult, not make it so hard. With this 6 of Swords, I feel like you're wanting to, change your perspective about it, change your mentality about it. Let's go through, but Judgment is saying that something has to happen now. Like it's time to take action on whatever it is that you know that you need to do. Approach someone, have that conversation, whatever it is. 8 of Swords. Yeah, 8 of Swords on the 7 of Swords. Knight of Cups. I think that you're afraid that it's going to be about betrayal, or it's going to be about you're betraying someone. Judgment. Okay. Seven of Swords on the 8 of Swords. So you feel betrayed, someone else feels. So you're overthinking the betrayal. And you might even be overthinking the loyalty or the lack of loyalty. Because sometimes people don't have to absolutely betray. But I think for some of you, this is going to be like, I don't want to betray others. For others of you, you're really overthinking the betrayal of another person. We have the High Priestess on the Knight of Cups. That High Priestess, what did I say before? Like, your intuition is very loud in May. And you just know, like, there's this knowing that lunar eclipse is going to bring that psychic quality out in you. There's this knowing that you have to be the one. You have to be the one that creates the ending. You have to be the one that takes action on, the approach of things. Judgment is the King of Swords and the Queen of Cups. So you may have an air sign and a water sign that's involved in whatever's going on. The King of Swords sort of feels like a boss figure, but they're also, or maybe not really a boss. He just kind of feels like he's in charge. The Emperor, right? Kind of feels like he's in charge. So for a lot of you, this is about a work situation, you know, and you really got to open yourself up. You have to stand up for yourself almost. It feels like that, you know, in this work situation. And I don't know who this water sign is, but it feels like there are two different people that are in this situation with you. Oh, yes. Love it. Okay. Okay, for some of you, you have to take charge of a legal situation. Just, you know, and it's, you know, whether you were talking about a relationship, the bottom of the deck is the 9 of Pentacles, by the way. Whether we're talking about a relationship ending or a job ending or a career ending or something like that, this is about independence for yourself. 9 of Pentacles, and that's why the Emperor came up. But there's a balance that's going to be created. Justice on the Emperor. Like, you know, there is a certain set of time that we have to get all of our ducks in a row and to get things taken care of. And that's in our control. And then after that, we sort of have to leave it up to divine timing, right? So I feel like there's something that you're meant to take action on, and it's creating an ending in your life. I feel like it might be relational. I feel like it might be a relationship. For some of you, you're getting divorced or you're separating or something. It's creating balance in your life, Sagittarius. For some of you, you're separating from a job. For some of you, you're separating from a friendship. For some of you, you're separating from a home environment. But it's creating balance, and this ending is starting a new journey for you, or it's part of your journey. It's part of the path that you're on. It's part of the journey. And again, with the white and the black sphinx in the front of this chariot, it's about balance, right? It's restoring some balance, some justice in your life. And it's much needed. Like, and remember with the chariot, it's about divine timing. So we can do as much as we can do, but at the end of the day, if, you know, we've done everything that we can and there's nothing else and we still don't have any answers, it's time for the universe to get involved and we sort of take a step back. The Star on the 6 of Swords. So again, the purpose, the direction. The star always reminds me of the North Node in our birth charts. So, you know, really taking that under consideration and making sure that you recognize that, even because this doesn't feel like it's easy. It feels like there's a little chaos going on in your life. It feels like there's a little bit of, you know, those swords are painful. There can be a lot of pain and unknowns and confusion that comes along with that. So listen to your intuition, surrender to your intuition. But you're really advocating for yourself. The 9 of Pentacles often makes me feel like this happens, this independence and abundance all on our own happens because we advocate for ourselves. Okay. All right, my dears, I love you guys, and hope to see some of you for some May readings. I would love that too. Take care of yourselves. Bye.